Hey friends. Well, I've sat for videos like this, it seems, so many times over the years, from Syria to Iraq to Lebanon to Venezuela, talking about some thing that went down, some terror attack, some chemical attack, some invasion of a parliament by right-wing terrorists in this country or that. And sadly, I'm here today to give the same kind of report, the same kind of update about our work in the United States, to mourn with you, and I do hope you are mourning, the fact that white right-wing terrorists made a move to overthrow our entire government today. Now, I've lived through this before in various ways in various countries. And our team around the world who was born and lives in some of these countries that I've listed have been through things like this. And so I recognize that we as Preemptive Love, a community of peacemakers around the world, we have a language. We are equipped with words that the United States and most of the United States society is not equipped with. And so I want to try to introduce and define and use some of the words that we use around the world, a couple of them that I've already gotten out there, but I want to make sure that you know why I'm using them. The word terrorism. We should call this what it is. This was a terror attack on the United States. And here's how I know. Number one, it has a political and or religious dimension, and it was explicitly meant to frighten people into doing a certain political action and ultimately to overthrow the results of an election and install an illegitimate leader. And that illegitimate leader himself incited the violence. That's terrorism. That's the word you're looking for. Another way we can just gut check this a little bit is just imagine if one Arab, Muslim, American wearing a turban with an AK-47 slung over his shoulder ran into the Capitol. It would be unequivocal. There would be no hand-wringing over what the word was. The word would be terrorism. The ethnicity and religion is the main thing that is different. And that seems to be determinative in whether we call this terrorism or not. We shouldn't be confused. When it's an Arab man in Iraq, we call it terrorism. When it's an Arab man in Syria, we call it terrorism. When it's a citizen of the United States, when it's a white citizen of the United States, nothing should change there. It's terrorism. Another word that I've encountered over the years with regard to how the police treated the mob, the people who ransacked the Capitol, those who terrorized Congress people and senators. The word you're looking for to describe the police, not just that they were slow, I don't think that's accurate. I think the word that we use in a place like Iraq often, the word that was on all of our lips during the ISIS uprisings and during Shia militia uprisings, the word we use is police complicity, police corruption, police bias. That's the word. Why do police in certain settings give some people a pass and other people not? That's not incompetence, that's training, that's complicity. The way the police opened up the gates and gave free passageway for these people to try to overthrow our government today, that was police complicity. The way many of us are raised and the way many of us are trained in the United States is that we by default see black people and brown people as a threat. And we by default, many of us, are trained and indoctrinated, and it's just the air many of us breathe, to see white people as default, as normative, as the baseline. And anything that deviates from whiteness is deemed foreign. And so whiteness gets a pass because it's normal, and blackness is a threat because of the movies we've seen, the stories we've imbibed, the stereotypes, the cartoons. That's what many of us mean when we say systemic racism. It exists. It's real. The privilege of passing as white, the privilege of being seen as default and normative as white, is what is meant when we say white privilege. And if after today you still pretend to not understand or know what that means, then you have some work to do as a community of peacemakers. I urge you to stay engaged in this. I urge you to call this what it is. There are countless nonprofit leaders around the world right now, in the United States right now, certainly, who are hoping to God that you don't hold their feet to the fire and press them to make a statement on what is happening right now. There are nonprofit leaders, local, national, and doing service internationally, who are hoping to God that they can just make it through today, make it through tomorrow, make it through this week, and never have to make a comment on what is happening right now. Because so much of this charitable work, this work in the name of love, this work in the name of peace, this magnanimous offering work is set up to launder the money of people who feel guilty about their success. And charities are set up to take your money and launder it and wash your conscience clean so you can serve and help those people over there without ever having to do any deep and real introspective work on yourself, on myself, on our neighborhoods, on where we come from, how we got here, and why it is that I might be more successful than my neighbor. So charities left and right are hoping to God that they can make it out of this week without having to say, this was a coup, this is dictatorial, this is fascist, this is racist, this is xenophobic. But that won't get us where we need to go. Because there's no amount of money alone that can spend us out of where we are. There's no amount of money alone that can build up countries when our systems and our policy, because of who we are in ourselves, so many of us, and because of who we are as a nation in our bones, there's no amount of charitable money that can spend our way out of that. We have to change who we are. We have to change how we think. We have to change how we relate. We have to change how we interact with and love each other. And if we don't do that, we might as well keep our money. Because charity ain't it. Philanthropy ain't it. We can't spend our way, no matter how generously we want to, out of this. We have to be our way out of this. We have to become a different kind of people, a different kind of neighbor, a different kind of father, a different kind of community. And some of us need to become more than others of us. Some of us have some serious ground to make up. Some of us come from stock who get it. We've been through some stuff. We've survived some stuff. Some of us have glided through and had it easy, and we don't understand what it means to be targeted. We don't understand what it means to be pushed down. We don't understand what it means to be suspect every time we walk into a room or walk into a store. And so some of us have more becoming to do than others. So to my fellow nonprofit leaders, to those who lead change, to religious leaders, to white evangelical megachurch leaders who have given me a space to share this message and other messages from time to time. Speak up, speak out, say the word. This is not right. There's no amount of tithing or praying or singing or worshiping or giving or none of that's going to work. None of that's going to get us to where we need to go. We have to become something more loving, more inclusive, more humble, more committed to equality than many of us have ever known or ever seen or ever dreamed of being. And if today is not the day to start, I don't know when. It will be scary enough, urgent enough, dire enough for us as leaders to say what it is, risk the losses, and actually lead. As peacemakers, a final word. My message is not unity, unity, unity. We can be made whole again, but not without a path. We can't have unity without repentance. Restore. After saying it was wrong, after acknowledging the hurt, after acknowledging the pain, work to restore relationship. Work to educate yourself. Work to grow. Work to get your receipts with the communities that you were probably once a part of hurting. Then we can think about reconciliation. The full bringing back together of that which was at odds. That's not hateful. That's not mean-spirited. That's not punitive. That is how peace actually works. I hope and pray that we will see the light in the name of love, in the name of peace. It's not the peace I grew up with, quite frankly. That's not what I'm calling for. It's a new peace, a bigger peace, one big enough for all of us, a peace where everyone rises. It's ours if we want it.